Hi there, and welcome to this 4-day conference on archaeological approaches to the study of the Potter's Wheel. I'm Pascale Barnes, the current chair of EXARC, one of the co-organisers of this conference. EXARC is proud to bring you this event in a fully digital, open access and interactive format. If you don't know us, EXARC is the network for experimental archaeology, museum practice in archaeological open-air museums, ancient and traditional technologies, and interpretation. If you work, study, teach, or are interested in these fields, you can find out more about us by visiting our website at exarc.net. There you will find information about our members, the latest news, as well as archived materials, podcasts, and more. Our dedicated YouTube channel has hours of informative educational videos, interviews, and conference presentations. You can also join us live on Discord for the EXARC show. We've got our monthly interactive Finally Friday sessions with experts. We've got our special interest chats, and for our younger members, we've got EXARC, offering a place for young people and students to discuss their future, as well as a chance for them to hear about the experiences of older EXARC members and chat with them directly. We are also very active on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. EXARC's Experimental Archaeology Conference World Tour takes place next spring. It will be another fully digital conference, touching down in a country near you. For more details on this exciting event, you can find it on our website. Well, if that's not enough to tempt you, we also produce this full-color, glossy digest of the best articles we've published over the year, and it includes some book reviews and conference reviews. Please do get in touch if you would like to publish with us. There are so many reasons to join us as a member, but right now, if you join before the end of 2020, we'll give you a 1.5-year subscription for the price of 1 year. The details of this are also on our website, along with information about our tiered joining fee. Well, that's it from me and from EXARC. Please stay tuned and enjoy the conference.
Hello and welcome to this 4-day conference on the Potter's Wheel. My name is Minos, and I am an experimental archaeologist currently researching Bronze Age Cretan pottery and ceramic technology at the British School at Athens in Knossos, Crete. This conference will focus on the Potter's Wheel, which is inherently rooted in wider discourses that concern the study of technologies, craft, ethnography, material culture, and archaeology generally. Part of why we study technologies is to understand the processes of invention and innovation throughout human history. Although we are often left with only a few pieces, or the material culture, we do have the advantage of the longue durée, something which is conspicuously lacking when examining innovation and invention in the present. Thus, a critical aspect of this conference, which is spread across 3 themes, is the study of how the innovation of the Potter's Wheel spread from person to person and culture to culture. Innovation is a cross-disciplinary topic, which in this case is focused upon the technology, materials, and actions associated with the Potter's Wheel. The study of the wheel, therefore, necessitates a diversity of approaches. The 3 themes of this conference, and the discussant for each one, will demonstrate this diversity well. Moreover, our speakers will expound each theme with their own research into how studies of the wheel fit into sub-disciplines of archaeology and other disciplines entirely. A discussion of each theme will be led by 3 leading scholars whose work spans multiple disciplines. Theme 1, which is modes of research for potting practices, will be led by discussant Professor Carl Knappen from the University of Toronto. He is an expert in network analysis, material culture studies, as well as the Bronze Age Aegean. Theme 2, which is the evolution and spread of potting wheel techniques, will be led by Dr. Valentine Roux, Director of Research at the French National Center for Scientific Research. She is an expert in studying the spread of the Potter's Wheel from its earliest time periods in Mesopotamia, and is the leading scholar in formal analysis for wheel-making techniques, having published on the topic since the 1990s. Theme 3, which is ethnographic accounts or first-hand descriptions of change within a crafting context, will be led by Professor Sander Vanderloo of Arizona State University. He is a leading voice in the study of innovation and sustainability and has remained a prominent scholar in the study of pottery technology since his early work on the subject. So why pottery and why the wheel? To put it simply, pottery making has remained part of human culture since at least the 8th millennium BCE. The spread of pottery making is innately an exchange of gestural, material, and technological knowledge, each of which is a culturally embedded aspect that may be perpetuated or perhaps resisted. The potter's wheel has a long history too, stretching back to the 4th millennium BCE. As a piece of material culture, the potter's wheel is not only an item or piece of technology to be categorized and cataloged away in a museum. These devices, which can be found in excavations or preserved in workshops around the world, are the embodiment of a plethora of human actions, decisions, and cultures. Wherever they are found, the concept of rotating clay and forming it into any number of shapes and designs is a shared aspect of people and potters. As a cultural feature, archaeologists have employed the potter's wheel to mark organizational complexity based on assumptions regarding the cultural conditions under which wheel adoption or innovation might occur. In 1959, George Foster suggested that the adoption of the wheel is as much the adoption of the idea as it is the adoption of the device which allows that idea to manifest. This is a concept which is borne out in the archaeological record as well. So in essence, technologies are the coalescence of these immaterial ideas and the physical materials, which are then articulated through human action and choice. By seeking to define the presence and understand the mechanisms which pave the way for that presence, studying the potter's wheel archaeologically enables us to draw further conclusions about the nature of the societies we study today.
Hello, I'm Thér. I'm dealing with the methodology of the identification of pottery forming practices based on archaeological record, and also with its application mainly to the context of the introduction of the potter's wheel to Central Europe in the Iron Age. I too would like to welcome you to our conference and introduce you to the main topics of the conference. We have divided our conference into the 3 basic themes arising from the 3 general questions we ask in our research. The first question is related to the methodology of our investigation of archaeological observable phenomena related to pottery forming. Analysis of pottery forming relies on a palimpsest of diagnostic features, often with limited informative value, bringing several interpretative problems. We have struggled with many sources of ambiguity related to the interpretation of technological variability. There is also a problem with the observability of the diagnostic features. Many technological traces are randomly preserved on a small proportion of pottery fragments. The absence of these features does not mean that the respective forming techniques were not employed. Consequently, it's difficult to draw statistical inferences based on the evidence of these features. It draws attention to the need for careful selection of suitable set of diagnostic features and its critical assessment, allowing for a sufficient narrowing of interpretative possibilities in relation to the objectives of the analysis. The first theme sessions allow for a discussion on standards of practice in the documentation, presentation, and terminology when describing the evidence needed as a ground for further inquiries. The second theme is focused on these inquiries. Our ultimate goal is not just a description of how the pottery was manufactured. We seek to gain an understanding of cultural, social, and economic interactions lying behind the technology. The technology is an archaeological visible cultural trait that reflects social negotiations, expression, transmission, construction of identities, the exercise of power, or the solution of economic needs. Some answers lay in the performances of the technological procedures and performances of the products of these procedures. However, in order to understand the evolution of wheel potting techniques, it is above all necessary to see the technology in context. And it's not an easy task for us as an archaeologist, as we depend on material bits and pieces of human actions and relations. The second theme is the opportunity to raise the questions related to the invention, spread, persistence, and change in wheel potting techniques. When we ask such questions, we often look for inspiration outside the archaeology, in situations where we are not dependent only on the bits and pieces. The third theme of the conference extends beyond the boundaries of the archaeological record and turns attention to the situation, knowledge, experience, and opinion of people using potter's wheel. Whether through ethnographic accounts or first-hand descriptions of change within a crafting context. The detailed insights into the motivation of craftsmen as fundamental actors of the technological evolution helps us in the construction of hypotheses on processes of technological change that have taken place in the past. The aim of the third theme is a dialogue between the ethnographic and archaeological perspective of phenomena related to the technological choices associated with the use of a potter's wheel.
Hello, I'm Caroline Jeffra, and I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our conference on behalf of myself and my research group Tracing the Potter's Wheel, investigating technological trajectories and cultural encounters in the Bronze Age Aegean. We're a small team developing methodological tools while we examine the archaeological evidence for this innovation in Bronze Age Aegean contexts. My colleagues from TPW and I are so pleased you chose to join us, and we hope that we can all continue to interact and learn from one another as the conference closes. The study of the potter's wheel is a microcosm of any study of human activity. There is enormous diversity in how we might approach this topic. The conference Archaeological Approaches to the Study of the Potter's Wheel obviously emphasizes archaeology, but archaeology is interdisciplinary in its nature. The topic can, and indeed is, tackled by physicists, artists, historians, anthropologists, and so on. Many of the papers included in this conference successfully rely on approaches from multiple disciplines, using the strengths of one discipline to answer questions left from other perspectives. It is in this interdisciplinarity that we can find conviction in our interpretations. The themes my co-organizer Richard and Chase discussed earlier have allowed us to bring together colleagues who have integrated different combinations of interpretive frameworks to their work while retaining reference points to how their work links back into archaeology. Within these are many examples which will have an impact on the way we study this innovation in the future. By bringing together this selection of presentations, we can benefit from seeing different approaches to a familiar topic and consider new ways to bring together different interpretive frameworks to our own research efforts. Through this conference, we hope to forge new connections between interested scholars and to later see new work which brings in fresh perspectives to this topic. Aside from the fact that this is a fruitful topic from many research perspectives, it should also be clear that there are many focal points to pursue relating to the potter's wheel as an innovative material object deployed within a social context. What are our access points to the presence and character of this innovation? Throughout the papers presented in this conference, scholars discuss evidence relating to direct material remains, including workshops and devices or components of devices. Indirect evidence is also described, including depictions and texts describing the process of rotational potting, as well as the pots themselves, which display myriad traces of their forming processes. Though not discussed directly, we can also consider the ways that rotational potting affects the human body, potentially leaving evidence on specific muscle attachments and bone wear as visible on skeletal remains. These are all aspects of the whole, the potting system employing an innovation which existed within and was inextricable from its social context. Each aspect addressed contributes to a better understanding of that whole, granting higher quality insights into the social forces at work in the past. What we hope to achieve with this conference, evident in the content that speakers have presented in their papers, goes beyond seeking to simply define the boundary between presence versus absence of the potter's wheel. The question of the presence of the wheel gives way to understanding the way in which the wheel was employed by potters, including the types of techniques as well as gestures used in production. By examining the nature of the devices, the forming techniques applied, and the social systems in which the potters existed, we can better grapple with the nature of this innovation through its applications across the diverse contexts in which it appeared. So, without further ado, I'm very happy to welcome all of you who have joined us from across the world for this all-digital conference. From myself with Tracing the Potter's Wheel at the University of Amsterdam, Richard from University of Hradec Kralové, Chase from the British School at Athens, and Roland on behalf of EXARC. We're all so pleased that you could join us.